Good day, everyone. Let us now proceed to the types of historical fiction. So, before that, let us have a recap or a recall what is historical fiction. So, when we say historical fiction, it is a kind of narrative that allows the readers to go back to a particular period. So, as opposed to science fiction, fantasy is a genre that shows supernatural and magical elements that do not exist in the real world. So, historical fiction includes historical fantasy and alternate history. So, let us now first discuss the historical fantasy. So, when we say historical fantasy, it is a terminology used to refer to historical fictions that combines the elements of fantasy and history. So, in historical fantasy, the character are purely imagined and the narrative is speculative, and it is a well developed and well illustrated setting, and it is a necessary element in fantasy. So here are the examples of historical example stories of historical fantasy. First, is the bear and the nightingale. The bear and the nightingale. So in this story, it is a Russian historical fantasy set in ancient Russia when conventional Christianity rejected the idea of mystical figures. So in this story, it introduces a girl named ba- named Vasha Petrovna. So where she can communicate with fantastical and mythological beings. So she fed them, talked to them, which made her look weird to the onlookers. And she was compassionate, curious, but disappointed by this society, especially on how people treated women. And there, Winter King Demon and his brother Bear became interested on her. And Vasha had no apparent internal conflict, which is why this story is good for the young readers because it is also rich in lessons, including a peek through the past and women's position in the society. And it is also a weave of rich cultural, vibrant supernatural, physical, and historical settings. So the second story is the Golem and the Genie. So in this story, it is a story of two magical elements or beings who met in the streets of 1899 New York City. So the golem is a woman made out of clay, purposely created to be a wife, while the genie is previously trapped in a flask for years, and she happened to be freed accidentally. So when they met, the golem and the genie, they realized that both of them were not human. So they were fascinated of each other and became friends. So the story portrays the the migration of Catholic Jewish Jewish workers to New York. As in New York flourished, people were inclined to materialistic possessions. So the story portrayed the desire for people for material possessions as they find means to make money easily. So they tried to use and control the golem and the genie, but the friendship of two fantastical beings saved them both. So that's all for the types of historical fiction, the historical fantasy, and let us now move on to the alternate history, which will be reported by Mary Grace Riboyan.